species out of species, highest joy and passion to be able to have this particular co-creative interaction with you all this day. This transmission titled The Power of Purpose will be specifically about that, the power that is behind your purpose. The power behind your purpose is the power of creation itself. It is the power of source itself, for you are all fractals of the one. You are all fractals of the infinite all. In a sense, you are all holographic in that each and every single one of you contain within you the totality of existence. In your yogic traditions, this is known as the Atman. It represents the divine spark that exists within all things. This divine spark is what you are fundamentally. When you peel back the layers, when you peel back the identity, when you peel back the belief systems, when you peel back the opinions and the biases and the experiences of this lifetime and all lifetimes, what you are fundamentally left with is the divine spark, the Atman, the source spark or central node that makes you up and makes everything up. So when we talk about being yourself, and we encourage you to express yourself, what we are really saying is be source itself. Be the totality of existence itself. Be who and what you really are. That's what you really are. All other forms of identity, the body, the mind, the ego, the narrative, all of those things will fall away. They become, you could say, recycled at a certain point as you linearly experience one lifetime, then another lifetime, then another lifetime. Even when you transition from physical into non-physical, those things go away, they change. So those things will leave you at a certain point. But what does not leave you, what is eternal to you, what is unconditional to you, is this Atmanic spark, is this source spark that represents the true you, the fundamental you. That's who and what you are. So when we talk about the idea of following your passion or fulfilling your purpose or fulfilling your destiny, what we are talking about specifically is how that unique source spark expresses itself through you in this lifetime. Because as you know, you are in a body. You are having a lifetime. You are, in a sense, experiencing a linear story that you consider to be the story of your physical life. In that way, you are the divine playing dress up as a character. This is not an arbitrary thing. This is not a random thing. This is not a meaningless or pointless thing. Remember, creation creates with intention. Creation creates with intelligence. So therefore, there is an intelligence behind your very life. So when you choose to really align with what you call your signature frequency, when you choose to align with your unique version of the Supreme Source in that way, then you begin to naturally express through your thoughts, your feelings, your relationships, and your actions and choices, your purpose, your unique reason for being here, which you have created pre-incarnation. Your purpose, your reason for being here is something that is, in a sense, built into you. And it is also simultaneously something you get to create and discover. It's both. In that way, you could say your purpose is both predestined and it is also something that is selected. It is predestined and selected by you. You have, in a sense, organized with the intelligence of source this lifetime, the body you have, the parents you have, the part of the world you're born into. You have organized all of this. And you have done this to set the stage for you to fulfill that unique purpose, which is, again, you expressing in your own way that unique source connection. How you express that, what you do with that, how you navigate this world you have engineered is totally up to you. So in that sense, your reality is based in both simultaneously and paradoxically predestination and free will. You are the one that creates both of those things. So, just as plants, for example, Trees generate oxygen, and they also bear fruit, and they also act as homes for animals. You too have a multi-dimensional purpose. As you can see with the tree, for example, the tree has many purposes. It has many, you could say, reasons for being here. You are the same. It's not as if you have just one purpose. Your purpose is not necessarily something that you can limit to a unidimensional way of comprehending or understanding. Your purpose, your passion will be multidimensional. It will contain many different themes. It will contain many different elements that will all be linked, that will all be unified by what you would call a master theme, a primary theme. How you express that primary theme will be multidimensional. It will contain many different themes, many different archetypes, and many different elements. So it's not as if you are, in that sense, one thing. It's not as if you only have one purpose. You are like a tree. You have many purposes. You have many functions. Just as trees have their own elemental makeup, their own, you could say, energetic personalities, you are the exact same. Just as trees go through their own evolutionary process, beginning as a seed and then growing towards the sun, you are the same. This idea of starting as a seed has to do with you being a fetus and then growing spiritually towards the sun as you begin to develop and as you go through your rites of passage, which have to do with 7-year cycles. Every 7 years, the idea is you move energetically from one chakra or energy center to another. And in that sense, when you are at age 7, you are technically functioning as an adult in that you have completed the idea of this cycle. So there's a few ways of looking at it. Every 7 years, you're moving from one center to another. And every year in that way, you're moving from one center to another. There's 2 major processes operating simultaneously in that sense. So you also go through this rite of passage each year. And also every 7 years, you're going through this. You are growing like a tree towards the sun, representing illumination, representing total self-actualization. This is your process. This is how you are evolving on Earth. And as you move from one center to another center, to another center, to another center, you then begin to understand yourselves more multidimensionally. You begin to understand more of your purpose, more of your reason for being here. For each center represents a different dimension of self. Each center will reveal to you unique facets of who you are, what you're to do while you're on Earth, and how you can do that in the most joyful, loving way possible. So there's many different ways of understanding your purpose or your theme or your reason for being here. We'll talk about it like this. The esoteric systems that you have on your planet, astrology, numerology, these types of things, while they can be used as a means of predicting the future, their primary function is to give you clues. It's to give you insights about yourself. Now, remember, these things may not resonate with you very much. And they may, in that sense, be of little service to you if that's the case. But if these things do resonate with you, if you feel attracted to them, if you feel drawn to them, then you will be able to derive a great deal of wisdom about your purpose. These things are not designed to tell you necessarily who you are. Because remember who you are. You are source. You are the supreme one in that sense. So anyone who tries to tell you who and what you are will always miss the mark if they are telling you you are something other than that. Rather, these things are designed to give you insights into your personality. They're designed to give you insights into the soul architecture that has to do with how you have designed this life. So in terms of your astrology, if you wish to use that to understand more of your purpose, Discover what is called the North Node or the True Node. This will give you a hint. Pay attention to what zodiacal sign is connected to your North Node. Now, the North Node is not your purpose. It's a clue. Because remember, your purpose is determined by you. In terms of numerology, discover what is known as your life path number. Your life path number will also give you clues to assist you in understanding more of your purpose. Other things you can do that are more personal to you and your experience to assist you in discovering your purpose is to pay attention to the things that you were drawn to as a child. When you are a child, when you are moving through those lower chakras, you have a clearer perspective of reality than many adults do. For when you are a child in that way, you have less conditioning. Your ego is more flexible. It's more malleable because it's forming, as you know. That's why they call those younger years formative years. Your sense of self is forming, implying your sense of self is not hardwired. It's not rigid. It's being grown. Just as a tree grows, your sense of self is growing. Because the sense of self is not rigid or hard, it is as if you have an easier time penetrating and perceiving into that spirit realm, into that soul level that, again, has to do with the spiritual architecture connected to your reason for being here, your purpose. So pay attention to the things you were drawn to when you were young, the things you wanted to be when you grew up. Pay attention to this, the types of activities you enjoyed playing with and engaging in when you were young. Pay attention to this. Pay attention to the things you wanted to do, the dreams and the desires you had as a child. Pay attention to these. Pay attention to the stories that you were drawn to when you were young. Be these stories that were portrayed on television, be these stories that you discovered in books. Pay attention to these things and pay attention to the characters in the story you were drawn to. What you will find is each character represents what is known as an archetype, which translates as original pattern. Archetypes correspond to what you would call the mental realm. This is the second level. We have talked about this before. We will say it again. There are 5 major levels. First level is the spirit level, pure energy. The second level is the mental level. The energy begins to vibrate in ways that produce geometric patterns, original patterns. This is what you call archetypes. The third level is the astral level. This is where those archetypes and original patterns manifest as beings, gods, deities, extraterrestrials, angels, mythical creatures, these types of things. That's the astral level. That's the third level. The third level is a mask for the second level. So you can interact with the second level. Because, as you know, it may be a little bit easier to have an interaction with the divine being as opposed to having an interaction with a spiraling triangle. It's easier to relate to a being with a persona. That's the major purpose of the astral realm, the third level. The fourth level in that sense has to do with what you would call the chi realm, the pranic realm, the etheric realm. This corresponds to the electromagnetic energy of your body and the pranic energies, the Reiki energies that you channel in your healing modalities or yogic modalities. This is the fourth level, the etheric level. And the fifth level represents the physical level, where things manifest, where things become solidified. These are the 5 major levels. The idea is all the characters that you have in your stories are, in a sense, astral personas that are representing these archetypes. So when you pay attention to the characters you were drawn to, the types of characters you wanted to be when you were young, you are actually getting clues, you're getting hints that are designed to awaken you to the archetypes you are connected to. Now, remember, an archetype is not your purpose, but an archetype will give you clues. An archetype will give you hints. There are infinite archetypes, but we will list a few of them here. Pay attention to which ones illuminate your body. Pay attention to which ones you feel activated by. Also, pay attention to which ones you judge, you feel repulsed by. These are all hints. Remember, what you feel repulsed by is something that's asking for integration. So that's another hint. The first archetype that we will talk about is what is known as the warrior. Now, the warrior does not have to be violent. As you know, there is the idea of the peaceful warrior or the spiritual warrior. This has to do with standing one's ground. This has to do with being bold. This has to do with going into new areas, exploring foreign lands, so to say. This might be external exploration or internal exploration. It also has to do with the path of discipline, not being distracted or overcome by, you would perhaps describe them as the forces or energetic presences of the world, but staying true to your path, marching forward, marching onward. The second archetype we will talk about has to do with the sensualist. This is connected to what you would call art, music, ways of communing with nature, enjoying the pleasures, the beautiful dimensions of life. The third archetype we will talk about has to do with the communicator. This is an individual whom is able to articulate all types of different messages in easy to understand ways that are able to reach many different people. The fourth archetype we will talk about has to do with the nurturer. This has to do with caring for something, caring for yourself, caring for others, caring for your community, being a provider. It is in many ways deeply connected to what you would call the energy of the Great Mother. It is in many ways represented by what you would call both the Earth as well as the Moon. These are planetary connections to this nurturer archetype. The next archetype we will talk about has to do with the idea of the king. The king, in many ways, is all about one who understands that this reality is an extension of them, and that they are divine beings, and that all beings are divine beings. You are all kings and queens in your own ways, in that you are all the figurehead, the representatives of your own personal realities, your own personal kingdoms. There is also a dimension to this that has to do with what you would call the performer. For as you know, the king oftentimes will have a performer or a jester within the court. These represent two sides of the same archetype, two sides of the same coin. So this type of archetype will oftentimes have a performative type of dimension to it. The next archetype we will talk about is the healer. This one is rather self-explanatory. This has to do with being an individual that invests themselves in their own well-being and in the learning of healing arts and sharing those energies of healing arts and well-beings with others, to bring others up, to assist communities in being nurtured. This is another dimension of, you could say, archetypal expression. The archetype after this we will talk about has to do with what you might call the judge or the diplomat or the negotiator. This is a unique archetype that has to do primarily with the idea of being balanced, seeing things from a complete perspective, seeing things from a 360-degree point of view. So unbiased, practical, helpful, useful information can then be shared. It has to do with seeing things from a point of view of non-attachment, so you can share insight, so you can share information in a way that is free of bias or prejudice. In terms of occupations, this connects to what you would call the psychotherapist in that way. It also has a connection to what you would call the archetype of the guru, because the guru, in a traditional sense, is an individual who has totally awakened to that source perspective, so they can see the big picture and they can speak without bias. They can represent source clearly. So the archetype following this has to do with the alchemist. This is an individual that dives in deep. 2, perhaps realms of great darkness. Perhaps realms where there are high amounts of suffering, pain, discomfort. And they are able to take that energy and through their own creativity and intelligence, they then transform those energies into beautiful expressions that serve them and those around them. This archetype is very much connected to the sign, zodiacally speaking, that you call Scorpio, which is represented by 2 major animals, the scorpion and the eagle. The scorpion representing the dimension of the alchemist that can go deep into the earth, that can go into uncomfortable, tight areas, but can still make its way through. And then when it needs to, it can transform into the eagle and soar to unprecedented heights. The archetype following this is what we would describe as the explorer. And this has to do with an individual whom is learning a great deal of new things, whom is challenging themselves, whom is in many ways exploring inwardly and outwardly, whom is perhaps learning about themselves or is learning about the world around them or is deeply learning about the things they are passionate about. This has to do with the archetype that you would call, in many ways, the student. But as you know, every student is the seed level of the master. So there is a great deal of what you would call educational energy and explorative energy connected to this particular archetype. And this archetype also represents what you call the middle way, the middle path. For the middle way, the middle path has to do with that process of evolution, linearly speaking. So this is an individual that also may be incredibly focused. While they may be exploring many different things, all of the things they are exploring will be unified by a central purpose, a central theme. The archetype following this has to do with what you might call the ruler. The ruler may be an individual whom is perhaps very business savvy. They may be very much drawn to organization and order within their lives. They may enjoy structure. They may enjoy creating systems, creating realities that they can operate within, that are organized very much to their particular liking. The archetype following this has to do with the innovator, the inventor. There is a strong connection here to what you would call the role of the scientist, or the creative intellectual, even the philosopher in that sense, is very much connected to this innovator archetype. This has to do with individuals whom are unconventional, whom are able to see the reality as it is and can see where there are excesses and where there are deficiencies. And they then are able to create systems that correct those balances. They're also able to create systems that improve the lives of themselves and others. The archetype following this is what you would call the mystic. And this has to do with the individual whom is able to penetrate into the nature of the divine. They are able to embody divine energies, and they're able to then communicate these energies with those around them. The mystic is very much connected to what you would call the magician archetype, the sage archetype, these types of things. Now, we have some fascinating information we wish to share. You contain all of them within you. It's not as if you're just one. Remember, your source, therefore you're everything. You contain all of these things. Each and every single one of these things lives and breathes within you. Some of these things will be more relevant to you than others. Some of them may be more relevant or less relevant for you at different times in your journey. So simply pay attention to the idea of which one of these things you feel deeply connected to. That will give you another hint. Another thing that we would advise doing to assist you in understanding your purpose, to assist you in understanding why you are here, what you are here to do in that sense, is to write out your story. Write out your story as if it is some type of autobiography. Write it out in an unbiased way as if you're talking about someone else. Write out your story to the best of your ability. This might be something that takes you some time. This might take you a week, perhaps writing about all the major themes of a year. in one day. And working through your story over time, working through your autobiography over time, writing this down. If there's certain things you cannot remember, that's okay. Write down what you can. Be descriptive, be detailed, and pay attention to any types of themes that come up. You will notice through writing your own story the type of character archetype that you're embodying. You will see which one of those 12 archetypes we mentioned you are most powerfully dabbling in. You will see which ones of those archetypes you are most powerfully connected to, because you will be seeing your life from the outside as if you are a character in your story and you are also the reader or the narrator of your story. This will assist you in deeply understanding yourself. This is why many of the great people of your history wrote autobiographies, for this specific purpose. Some people, of course, will write autobiographies for more self-centered reasons, perhaps, but many people will write them as a means of learning about themselves. It's a process of discovery by reflecting upon where you have been. Through understanding where you have been, you will more easily understand where you are going. It helps you chart your life. It helps you plan. It helps you navigate the reality. This is why journaling is so powerful. This is why journaling is so important and is very useful in knowing yourself and knowing your direction. 4, if you do not understand where you have been, because each thing contains its opposite, it means you also do not understand where you are going. If you do not understand where you have been, and you do not understand where you are going, you may find yourself in spirals, in cycles. And many of you experience this. You'll notice over time, the same types of challenges come up. The same types of, you could say, thought patterns and moods come up. And perhaps your relationship with some of those cycling themes is a little stagnant. When you're able to document where you have been, you can understand the patterns you're going through. You can understand the lessons you're going through. And then that can give you a moment of creative clarity to understand how you can more easily overcome them and move from one level of evolution to another. You can understand how to step forward into your next chapter, because again, you are a character in a storybook that is the mind of Source. You're the one that determines when the page turns. You determine that through how you evolve from one chapter to another to another. Chapters are as long as the cycles within the chapter that you create. If you step outside of a cycle and evolve, you accelerate through the chapter. And this is how you move through your rite of passage. Developmentally speaking, this is how you evolve. This has to do with you, again, like a tree, moving from one level, growing upwardly to another level, becoming closer to the sun, which represents Source, which represents, again, the true self. That's what you're evolving into. This evolution continues after this life, linearly speaking. It continues while you are in the spirit realm. Many of you, when the energy body is powerful enough, give rise to entire spiritual lifetimes. What might express as 100 lifetimes on earth, some of you will create in that spirit realm before incarnating into a physical body. All types of things can happen in the spirit realm. The spirit realm is a realm of powerful possibility. When you transition into the spirit realm after, linearly speaking, having been a human, you have a very unique type of spiritualized energy body. The energy body that you have will be, in a certain sense, a spiritualized energetic parallel of the energy body and physical body that you had on Earth. And as you know, this body contains within it the macrocosm. It is a microcosmic expression of the macrocosm. And because each thing contains its opposite, you contain the macrocosm within you. It's stored within you. It's programmed into you. So When you then transition into the spirit realm, the type of energy body that you have allows for you to become capable of all types of very, very, very interesting things. And that upward growth, that upward momentum continues in the spirit realm, and it continues, linearly speaking, into another lifetime if that's how you choose to create, which is how many of you choose to create, because you all love stories. That's why you're drawn to them. So you oftentimes will create your soul evolution, your spirit evolution through linear incarnation. The more multidimensional you are, the more that can be rearranged, and you can experience nonlinear evolution in a simultaneous or even linear way. That's also a possibility. It all depends on the level of consciousness that you possess, that you're resonating with. Higher levels of consciousness allow for you to have access to more exotic, more expansive, more sophisticated types of experiences and abilities. This is one of the reasons why you're on Earth. You're growing yourself. You are, again, evolving linearly upwardly. So you're raising your consciousness. That's what Earth is about. If you wish to understand more about how your consciousness evolves, look towards what you call your tarot cards, your major arcana tarot cards. If you follow them in order, what you will see is what has been described as the hero's journey or the heroine's journey. That's what the major arcana are communicating. You start out as the fool, representing an individual whom is walking their path. They don't know what their path is yet, but they know they're on one, and anything is possible. Many of you experience this when you first go through your awakening. You then move into the tarot card of the magician, which has to do with learning the tools, learning the methods, learning the ways, learning the spiritual techniques that assist you in creating your reality in a way you prefer. Many of you will then move into what is known as the high priestess, which has to do with going within, introspection, getting to know yourself, getting to understand your reason for being here. Many of you may be at that level right now. Perhaps that's why you have come to this, so you can begin to go within and understand, why am I here? What am I here to do? What is my purpose? The card after this represents the Empress, which has to do with discovering what that spark is, that creative spark, that passion, that purpose, and then generating it, creating it, giving yourself to it. After this, the next card is the Emperor, which has to do with ordering everything you have generated. In a sense, becoming more strategic with it, becoming more balanced with it, letting go of things that perhaps are excessive and feeding things that have become perhaps deficient. Has to do with structuring and ordering that which you are generating, becoming more masterful. The card after this has to do with the Hierophant. And this is the card that is based in the idea of what you call the hexagram. This has to do primarily with creating a solid, stable foundation that is based in your purpose. The excesses have been cut away. That which has been deficient is then nurtured. And you create a balanced, stable foundation representing Earth. And this is where you then attract to you higher experiences, higher lessons, higher learnings, more of your soul, more of your spirit, more of your higher self is then able to communicate with you because you have become balanced like a triangle. In that sense, you and your life represent the bottom triangle. The soul, spirit, higher self, these levels represent the upper triangle, and you meet together in the middle. The card after this has to do with the Lovers. And this is where you merge with your higher self. This is where you merge with your soul and spirit. You become, in many ways, a powerful type of being that is more complete in their understanding, that is more complete in their relationship to life. What we mean by more complete is there's not as many things missing. You do not feel like you are lacking. You do not feel like you are incapable. You are beginning to experience yourself as source. Now, there are many other cards within that deck. For time's sake, we will not get into them, but the ones we have mentioned, these are the major ones to pay attention to. The journey continues onward after you have experienced that enlightenment or that completion. That's not the end. That's just the beginning. So These are things to pay attention to. These are things that will assist you in really creating and simultaneously discovering what your purpose is. Simply ask yourself, what is my purpose? What am I here to do? And just pay attention to the first thing that comes up. Whatever that first answer is, pay attention to that. That will also serve you. What comes up is not arbitrary. It's not random. It's connected to this. Ask and you shall receive. Just ask the question. You'll start to get information. Now, remember, your primary purpose has already been fulfilled. Your primary purpose is to simply be, to simply exist. That's your reason for being here. You're here because you exist. You do not have another option. You are existence. Existence can only exist. So, your primary purpose has already been fulfilled. However, your reason for being here, what you are here to do, that is up to you. That is based in your unique self-expression. Stay playful with this. Stay open with this. Do not become too rigid. Have fun with it. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer fundamentally. What we will say is this. There are certain paths in life. There are certain choices you can make in life that are very connected to your purpose. And as you know, there are other choices in life that can perhaps feel as if they are taking you away from your purpose, that they are somehow draining you. They are somehow taking away your energy or your time or your free will. Be aware of these things. Pay attention to those things. Pay attention to the things in life that seem to charge you up, that seem to give you energy, that seem to make you feel alive. And pay attention to the things that seem to deplete you, that create what you would call discomfort, that create what you would call that which is displeasing to you. These are hints. So you can determine which paths are warmer in relationship to alignment with your purpose, which paths are colder in relationship to misalignment with your purpose. Even things that are misaligned with your purpose can serve you, because all things can serve you. That's the mindset of the alchemist. When you understand what it is you are getting out of the situation that does not serve you, you can then create that within yourself, and you can create other ways to obtain that which you wish to receive without having to martyr yourself through making choices and decisions that are misaligned with your purpose or your passion. So if you find yourself making choices that are misaligned with your passion, just ask, what am I getting out of this? What am I trying to give myself through this experience? And once you identify what that is, create other ways to give that to yourself that are more connected to your purpose, to your passion. Your purpose, your passion, these are other ways of talking about your excitement or your bliss. These things are interchangeable. So we thank you all for your attention in this transmission. Take what we have given you and deeply contemplate it, deeply work with it. Write these things down, take notes, make a vision board, do whatever you have to do. Invest energy in this because your purpose really is fundamental. It is of the highest importance. When your species aligns with its purpose, its passion, you all work in total synchrony. That's how our society operates. And you naturally give life. The reason your society has been going through the chaos and the challenges that it goes through is because so many people are living in a way that is misaligned with their passion or their purpose. That brings negative destruction. Not all destruction is negative, but some versions of destruction are. Misalignment from the purpose oftentimes will create negative destruction. So when you align with your purpose, you shift to a version of Earth where everyone has begun to do so as well. Everyone has begun to do so. That's what's in store for you. You get to determine in many ways the destiny of Earth through owning your own destiny, through choosing your own destiny, through investing in your path. That's the power of your purpose. When you align with that, You shift to versions of Earth where everyone has aligned with that. So these are some prerequisites for open contact. Keep that in mind. Many of you desire open contact. The settings must be appropriate for open contact to happen. Extraterrestrials, in a sense, are energetic beings. They're a little bit more sensitive. So the environment on Earth must be at a certain level for massive open contact to happen, mass level contact. Keep this in mind. So we thank you all for your attention here in this transmission. And now we make ourselves available to you for your questions.
Thank you very much, Ryo. That was amazing and full of new information. I loved it.
Yes, you're very welcome.
Thank you. Just kick it off with this change of your name. I just is that from Rio to Ryo to Rio, Ryo? Is that also have to do with Tyler's evolution and him finding his purpose?
Exactly. Yes, it's deeply aligned to this, and it also has to do with him becoming more clear as a channel. As you become more clear in general, you're able to understand more of your own purpose, why you're here, what is aligned with you and what is not aligned with you. And as a side effect of that clarity, you can penetrate sensorially deeper into the spirit realm, which means you can get a more accurate reading of the spirit realm. My name changing is a result of clarity within the channel. He can see more of me, which means he can translate me more accurately. That's one of the reasons for the name change. It's not as if I have actually changed my name. It is that his perception has become clearer so he can more accurately understand and represent my energies.
Okay, that's amazing. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I'll go right to the questions from our beloved guests. Deborah, you're the first up. Can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hi, Ryo. How are you?
Greetings. Good day. We are ecstatic and delighted to interact with you. How are you doing?
I'm in cognitive dissonance, but I'm doing well.
Excellent. Well, what a fabulous blending of energy.
Yes, that's the primary issue. So my North Node, the clues, I'm having a difficult time putting the pieces of the puzzle together for myself. I can do it well for others, but I seem to be obscuring something. And I wondered if you could help me a little bit with those pieces so I could see them clearer.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Thank you. My life path is an interesting one, which I seem to be giving myself double doses of it, which is a 33. And I'm on a 33. Atlanta is on a 33, parallel. So I've given myself doses of that. And not only that, around March 17th, I saw a series of UFOs and they formed, now I realize with the work that you showed us, a hexagram. So,
yes.
So I'm like, okay, this is really interesting. My birthday was yesterday. So, yeah, so I was born on Earth Day. So I'm dabbling and have dabbled in my purpose, but I don't seem to be making the financial abundance to support myself. So what the heck? I'm having a difficulty with, I'd love to be doing this, but I'm not creating the money. And do I need to go back to a formal organization again? And then I'm in cognitive dissonance with my freedom. So that's kind of where I'm at.
We thank you for all your sharing. So we'll address each of these things. If we leave something out, just remind us, we'll address it.
Okay.
So there's nothing wrong with going back to a formal work environment. There's nothing wrong with that. It's all about how you do it. If that becomes an obsession and it takes over your life, that's where there's an imbalance. But there's nothing wrong with doing something in exchange for money if that is what you need. If that's what you need to step forward in your life, it's all right to align with things. And many of you whom have traveled the world know this. You'll either work remotely or you will take up a temporary job in one of the places you travel to if you're staying long-term to support yourself so you can continue to follow your passion. So there's nothing wrong with working a formal job. If it becomes an obsession and if it is something that is draining you, depleting you, that's not what we advise. That's not balanced. So we would recommend is if you are seeking a formal job because you're seeking money, what we would say is pick whatever formal job most greatly represents your purpose, your passion, your excitement. Use it as a stepping stone. You don't have to stay there forever, but use it as a short-term way to attract abundance to you. That will start to get you in the abundant mindset when you see money coming in. Now that you have money coming in, it's easier to call more of it in because you're already experiencing physically that notion, that sensation of receiving income. As you know, if you are an energetically sensitive person, working in a formal job might be energetically challenging. That again is useful because that's what gets you to level up energetically. Now it's a matter of how do I remain in a loving, meditative, powerful, sovereign state while I'm in a situation that is more of the world. That's another positive thing formal jobs can provide. Again, you don't have to do that. We're not saying that's the way. We're just saying that is one way, and you can alchemize that to be in your favor to use it as a positive stepping stone. Now, in terms of your life theme, your life themes that we're able to read, and again, we're not saying this is what you're here to do. We're just talking about qualities. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
It's very much connected to the idea of, from a grounded earth perspective, using the higher powers of intellect to see the underlying patterns of nature, of the astral realm, mental realm, and spiritual realm. The type of path you are on is a path of, in many ways, philosophy and meditation, which enables you to see the order of things, the natural order of things clearly. This is why you have success doing readings for people. You already can do this. The idea is you're learning how to see yourself in that way. Your path is also connected to what you would call the heart chakra. It's connected to the sun. It's a type of solar path. And this is very much all about the idea of, similar to that idea we have mentioned of the lovers, which is connected to the hexagram, as is the Hierophant. They both are. But the lovers in many ways has to do with that complete merging. This is one of the things you're here to do in this lifetime. You are here to totally merge with your soul, with your spirit, with your higher self. You are here to become that on earth. And it's probable this is what will happen for you. This also contains within it what you would call the process of ego death. Because in order to be born as this divine self, the self that feels it's separate, the self that feels it's in lack must die metaphorically. It must be let go of. So this path also has a dimension of sacrifice, of letting go. This is why the heart center is oftentimes said to represent Christ consciousness. Metaphorically, Christ let go of the physical body to become the body of light. So there is a dimension of that here as well. It's not necessarily a path of suffering. The suffering dimension to it is something that's really in your hands, but it is a path that has to do with letting go of the old in exchange for the new. One moment. There's also a dimension to integration with the inner child. There is a strong connection here with really getting in touch with that younger self and pulling that self up to your current level of evolution so you can give rise to the archetype known as the enlightened child, the golden child, the child of the sun. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's all very synchronistic considering yesterday I was in a conference and they were talking about this, and I've been working with the inner child for a couple of decades now. With my clients and myself. So yeah, no, this really all makes sense. I'm just feeling, where do I go next? That's what would be the best, most, the quickest path to get to feeling that foundation that I need to feel, that security, so that I can reach the higher heights, so to speak.
Yes. What we'll talk about is these, and then we have to move on for other people.
Of course.
So what we'll say is this: it's important to develop a process of letting go. Just as we had talked about the sacrifice, the shedding of the old self. This is what you do in a seated meditation practice. You are letting go of the known, the thoughts, the feelings, the biases. Let go of everything through some type of meditational practice. Become totally empty. Once you have emptied your cup, now your cup can be filled. You fill the cup. It's not as if it automatically happens. You fill it. How do you fill it? By charging your body and your energy centers with the feelings that represent the realities you prefer. So we'll talk about it like this. If you had to imagine what it feels like to receive your higher self, imagine that. Charge yourself with your feeling of this. If you had to imagine what it feels like to receive infinite abundance and even wealth, imagine what it feels like to receive this. Layer these states of being, stack them on top of each other. Use your body as the anchor. See these feelings as light, amplify them with your breath, store them with your body awareness. This is what we would recommend in terms of a spiritual practice. So spend about 5 to 10 minutes just letting go, letting go, letting go. Imagine each of the realities you prefer, pull them into you. To play around with this idea of the solar energy, see these feelings as gold. Charge your body, your aura with gold. This also connects to the heart center. It also connects to prosperity and wealth. So these are some things to focus on. Once you have really integrated those states, just stay in the moment. Don't go seeking things. Conserve your energy. Keep everything within. Just move through life. Pay attention to the things that you detect through that observational intellect that are connected with this energy you have called. That feeling of magnetism will be your guide for the next step. Does that make sense?
I just think you're wonderful. The work that you do has propelled my life forward. And I just, with all my heart, thank you so much. I love it.
So welcome. It is our joy to share this, and it is beautiful to see your integration with the material.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Cool. Kim, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Kim?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes. How are you this day?
Hi, Ryo. Nice to talk to you again.
Exciting to speak to you as well. How may we serve you in your exploration of life?
I've asked you this question before, but I'm still struggling with it. That's why I'm going to ask you again.
All right.
Yesterday I was in a ceremony, and I had a lot of these, felt like a lot of beings coming through me, wanting to connect with me, and the movement channeling comes so easily and naturally, and for me. But why am I still? My dream is to be able to voice channel. What is like stopping me from like?
Are you practicing
I don't know
vocal channeling?
I did some practice with some people from the Ryo group, but it doesn't flow naturally for me. I mean,
well, have you made a strong link with a particular being or guide, or even your own higher self? Have you really merged with that type of intelligence?
I don't know. There's so many beings that come through me. I don't know what.
That is the reason why it doesn't feel natural. So what's required is that you energetically merge with a specific being. Remember, any being you merge with that is of a positive ilk will be a reflection for your own higher self. You can also merge with your higher self directly. It's important you merge with some type of intelligence, some type of being, and then you channel. If you have not merged with the specific intelligence and you attempt to channel, it's like you haven't hooked the wiring up. So you can't make the phone call. You can't flip the light switch and have the lights turn on because the infrastructure is not complete. So identify what it is you wish to channel. That's step one. Step two, purify yourself. Let go of all things that are in resistance to that energy. Step three, become like that energy. Live your life like that energy. Step four, merge with it. Become it. Step five, channel it. These are the 5 steps. If you just try to channel without the other 4 steps, the infrastructure is not in place. It's like you have built a structure where the floor has a bunch of holes in it and the walls aren't properly organized. The scaffolding's not appropriate, and that's why it does not feel natural. You all have the ability to vocally channel. You all do. It's all about really putting in the work and being strategic with how you go about it. So it's a comprehensive effect. What you see before you is the result of such infrastructure being built. That's what it produces. That's why the methods are important. If it's done haphazardly, then the idea is the energy will feel minimal, or it will feel inconsistent, or it will feel unnatural, because you're operating with the structure that's not natural. You're operating with the structure that's incomplete. Does that make sense?
Okay, but what I do when all these beings are coming? Do I just like push them away and choose? I don't know. That have so many.
You have many to choose from. Choose the ones you wish to work with. You don't have to channel all of the ones that come to you. If you were all aware of the beings that come to you every moment, you would be perhaps overwhelmed with the massive family of spirit beings you're connected to. Some beings just come to watch you. Others come to give you gifts. Others come to learn from you. Others come to, in a sense, integrate with your world a little bit more. All types of beings are drawn to you. You don't have to channel all of them. Again, pay attention to the ones you're most connected to, the ones you feel a strong resonance with. Those will be the ones that are more natural for you to channel. Begin with animals. Practice channeling spirit animals. They're the most, you could say, earth-like. They're the most relatable for many of you in that way. Don't just pick any random animal. Pick a one you feel represents whatever you wish to create in your life. If you need more power in your life or wish to connect to your power, think of a rhinoceros or a tiger. If you wish to understand spiritual information, think of a bird like a hawk or an eagle. So pick what is relevant for you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You're familiar with the idea of the Wei Gong postures that are designed to mimic animals?
Yes.
That's why they exist. They originally were designed so shamans could embody animal spirits so they could channel them. So that's another thing.
When I'm channeling in this ceremony, I really connect to the birds, yeah.
Then there you have it. You may find there are certain intelligences that are more humanoid in nature that are depicted as bird people that may be drawn to you as well. Think of Egypt. There may be something here for you.
Okay.
All right.
And I know I'm very connected to the warrior and the healer. Is there any other archetype that you think is strong for me now to connect with at this point in my life?
Pay attention to those. There are more. We need more information to go off of
Okay.
in order for us to really penetrate into that and answer that. But focus on those 2. One moment. You're already aware of this, but the mystic, that's another one you're connected to that you're already nourishing through your medicine journeys.
Okay.
So the mystic is another one, the shaman, the shamaness, these types of things. So these are major ones you're linked to. So perhaps at another time with more information, we can share more with you.
Okay.
All
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay, Marlon, you can ask your question.
Hello, Ryo.
Greetings. How are you this day?
I'm very nice. Thank you very much for this beautiful transmission. It was really interesting and helpful. It answered a lot of questions I had, but I still have one I would love to ask you.
Right.
Speaking about archetypes, it seems that me and my fiance's main archetype for the moment is the magician and the alchemist. And it seems that since we have committed to these 2 archetypes, a lot of things in our life changed, crumbled, even got destroyed and letting go. And now listening to this transmission, to be honest, I got excited for the next step. Like what was the major arcana card after the magician was the high priest or something. And I was wondering, scanning our energies, could you say where we are at our path right now? Or
You are right at the transition point between the idea of the high priestess and the Empress. You're right here. In terms of archetypes to embody to support you, the Nurturer. This has to do with the Great Mother. Notice that those two cards are feminine cards. This is the primary archetype to embody the energy of the Nurturer, the Mother, the Generator. In terms of zodiacal signs, this is connected to, the Nurturer is strongly linked to Pisces, to the moon. So be aware of that. That's where you're being asked to invest energy right now, nurturing. Incorporate nurturing activities, nurturing things. This will support you on your journey. Because the nurturing leads to generation. Remember, after destruction, there is generation. So through embodying the energies of creation and generation, your life will take on that. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Excellent.
Really helpful. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
My unconditional love to you, Ryo.
Our unconditional love to you as well.
Hey, Justin, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hey, Ryo, how are you?
Greetings, good day. We are ecstatic. And how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. My question for you is, I'm wondering if you can provide either a daily practice or exercise that I can do every day to powerfully align with my purpose.
Well, there's so many different things you can do. May we ask you a question?
Sure.
Are you more drawn to physical movements and things like exercise, or are you more drawn to stillness, to quietude, to going within?
Wow.
If it's
really
both, that's
both.
all right. But is there one you
Yeah.
prefer?
I feel it's really both. I think I'm very much into meditation and stillness, but I also enjoy moving my body and exercise. I'd say it's almost very balanced for me.
If it's both, what we would recommend is what is oftentimes called a Qigong practice, where you are doing moving energetic exercises that incorporate body movement, breath work, and visualization. This is something that will greatly serve you because of your affinity towards both, because it's a blending of inner and outer phenomena. So focus on something like this, some type of Qigong practice, some type of what you might call Taoist practice specifically would serve you in that way. There are also Western approaches, Western traditions that cover this type of thing, what you call ceremonial high magic. This is also something that may benefit you because it is a moving meditation. Both systems, what you call the Taoist system and the ceremonial high magical system, both of these are designed to assist you in waking up to your purpose. So pay attention to what types of traditions you're drawn to. If you are drawn to more Western types of things, the ceremonial high magic could be an option. If you're drawn to more Eastern types of things, what you call Taoist practices or even yogic practices may serve you. And of course, you can also blend them. That's also possible. It's really up to you. So in general, what we would recommend is beginning with, at a minimal level, some type of breathing pattern exercise, some type of pranayama exercise, as it is called. Because this, again, is inner and outer. You're using muscle movements and breath to create inner states of being. That's something we would advise. Combining that with some type of movement-based energetic practice. Start there, start small, and then build up from there. Those two things will lead you into the next thing that will assist you on your journey. But that's something that you can do each day. The other thing that we will share with you, we have shared this before, but it is a energetic practice you can do to connect with your higher mind. Would you like for us to share this with you now?
Yes, please.
All right. The idea is we'll explain it, but do this on your own for time's sake. Is that all right?
Yeah, totally.
All right. All right. So the idea is to imagine above you, about 6 inches to a foot, a golden ball of light, and see a golden you in this light. See this you as a deical representation of you. In other words, see yourself as a deity, a god, a being of supreme power. See this in what is known as this soul star chakra. The idea is to use your fingers or your hands. You can have your hands open or point. Bring the soul star chakra down the center channel of your body, which is a tube running from your crown down to your perineum. Bring it down to the center of your brain, then bring it out your third eye. And like a triangle, bring it back up to the center position above your head. Come down to your throat, come forward, back up above you, making another triangle. Come down to your heart center, forward, back up. So you're making a great deal of triangular motions, each one going lower and lower and lower. Go all the way down to your root chakra, which is your perineum, tailbone. Go down, do this to your knees. Go down and do this to your feet. You can even go further down into the earth star chakra beneath your feet. Bring it back up, and then bring the energy down into what is known as your Dantian or your Hara. Store the energy here, and then program it. Say aloud, higher self, guide me, show me my path, show me my destiny, show me my way. Let it be obvious. You could even go as far as to say, let all of that which is deviant from my purpose fall away with love and compassion. So you can initiate destructive processes based in love, so what you don't prefer falls away. So you can actually program that. You can program positive destructions. You can also program positive orderings. May my life fall into perfect synchrony, perfect harmony. And you can also program positive generations. May that which is essential to my spiritual growth and development blossom like a flower. May this occur in a way that is healthy and life-affirming for all beings, including myself. May this occur in a way I find blissful and pleasing. And so it is. Something like this. That's a practice that can be done daily. You can even do it 3 times a day if you wish.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to try this.
Yes, yes. You're very, very welcome. Remember, when the energy ball comes down to your knees, it will split in 2. So just be aware of that. You will have to develop that skill to split the energy ball in 2, and then it comes back together as it comes up. So be aware of that one feature.
Okay, good to know. Thank you, Ryo.
You're very welcome.
Julie, you can ask your question.
Hello.
Greetings. How are you?
Hi, I'm very well. This is my first time here, so thank you so much for taking my question.
Absolutely. It is our pleasure to do so.
Wonderful. I'm a little nervous, so I'm hoping this is as clear as I can be. I've actually written this down so I don't forget it. So my experience of being in this physical dimension and having a physical body, it's really great in many ways, but there's also many times when we can have physical ailments and pains, and that can be very challenging. And sometimes it's hard to know why we have such pain in our bodies. I just wondered if there might be something that would help us be a little bit clearer on working out why we have those pains in our bodies. And if, for example, say they're psychological or emotional trauma, how can we best let them go so that we can be a bit more lighter in our energy and move forward?
Well, what we'll say is this. All pain is the result of energetic blockage.
Yes, I thought so.
All pain, yes, without exception. That's the reason for pain. Energy is not flowing. When it gets stuck, it hurts.
I see.
Now, many things can cause this. For example, if you're eating a diet that's not balanced, this inflames your tissues. Your tissues swell, that blocks energy flow. For most of you, your physical pains are caused by diet.
Oh, I see.
That's the most
interesting.
common thing that causes pain. Many of you are eating too many vegetables, too many seeds, too many leaves, too many roots, too many grains, too much sugar, and too many refined oils. These things cause inflammation. When we say vegetables, many people may raise an eyebrow, but remember, plants can't run away from predators. So they make poison to poison animals that eat them. Even though, yes, plants have many nutrients, they contain many toxins. You're not designed to be eating plants in bulk in the way that you do in terms of vegetables. That's one of the major causes of inflammation in your bodies in large. This is why many people who have autoimmune conditions will almost completely stop eating vegetables and they get better because the vegetables have drugs in them, poisons, pharmacological substances the plants make to defend themselves from animals. So you're no different. It will inflame you. So in general, in terms of plants to eat, fruit, 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 fruit. Fruit is the least toxic part of a plant. It is the part of the plant desires for you to eat because that's how more plants are grown. Generally speaking, the animal will eat the fruit and it will, through its stool, release the seed and more plants grow. So that's the part of the plant to focus on. All those other things, limit them. If you're in pain, limit those things severely. Severely limit them. If you are eating these things and you have perfect health, we're not talking to you in that sense. So continue to do what you do. But if you're eating these things and you're in chronic pain, this is something we'd advise you pay attention to. Because if you're in pain, generally speaking, it means something in the diet is multiplying the pain. That's what's making it chronic and unbearable. Pain can also be caused, as we have said, through blockage, connected to structural issues, so poor posture. For some of you, your chest has collapsed. This puts pressure on all of your organs. It puts pressure on your aorta, your vena cava, your lymphatic system. Poor posture can also create pain. For some of you, your head is forward all the time like this. This creates pain, can also give rise to migraines and headaches. For some of you, your body is twisted a little bit. Your hips are not even. One hip is forward, one hip is more behind. And this twists your organs and creates pain. So pain can also be caused by structural imbalances. Pain, as you know, can also be caused by emotional issues. And this type of pain will oftentimes create an unhealthy diet. It will oftentimes create a misstructured body because emotions are very powerful and they organize physical energies. So many of the physical problems you have, be it connected to a dietary issue or a structural issue, will have some type of emotional connection to it. Now, that's not exactly the case all the time, but it is oftentimes present. So it's something to be aware of. So those are the three things to pay attention to. In general, those are the three major things that are responsible for the chronic pains many of you go through.
Well, thank you so much. That's really, really helpful.
Yes, you're very welcome.
Many thanks.
And our gratitude to you as well.
And to you.
Hey, Colton, you're up.
Hello, my love and appreciation to everyone here today in this co-creation. Greetings, Ryle.
Greetings, how are you?
I'm excellent, thank you. I was excited for my question. If I could please expand upon the offering that you gave me last time we interacted. You said that I was the star card.
Yeah.
And I feel great love and appreciation for what you gave me the first time we met, because I felt like I referred back to that I actually lived my own healing, where I watched myself explore negativity so deeply. And then you had said to me, stay in my heart and see that as a separate person and don't take action, just love him, beam love upon him. And I don't have to do anything to change him. And then I love what you said to Deborah, because I kind of had that realization that it's my tarot cards. It's following that passion that kind of, you had said to me, astringes my consciousness. It like washes that away.
Yes, yeah. And we are happy to see you have been applying the information. That's wonderful to observe. Now, is there a particular question, or would you like to simply conversate? How may we serve you?
I am able to get myself into such feelings of love and connection that at times, in a sense, it will actually make me feel lonely, like I need to share it with someone, that I need someone else to be as happy as me. But then I connected into a connection and energy. And when I was in the movie theater, I felt my body move when I know I'm being visited, and the chair went down. The seat next to me sat down. Who was with me at that time, please?
Well, you've already identified this being. Yes, you've used the name Logos.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Yes. So because you are opening up more to this realm, these beings are becoming more capable of expressing themselves in ways that appear physical. So there was no one physically in the seat, but you were able to detect that there was a presence in the seat, and you were able to observe that physically, yes?
Yes.
This is the etheric body of this being, densifying enough to create a physical effect. These types of things will become more common as you get closer to contact. But you are interacting with the being you call Logos that you have shared with us previously. There's much more to this being than perhaps you are aware of. So we would advise really opening yourself up to the being. One of the easiest ways to do that is simply open your arms like so. Like you are going to hug someone, and speak to Logos as if he is there. From a place of love, invite the presence, invite the wisdom, invite the guidance. Remember the name Logos, what this implies. It is the everything, yes?
Yes.
So this is a being that is designed to connect you to your awareness of your everythingness. That's the major function of this being.
Okay.
So you can simply open your arms, speak to Logos, and just feel the changes in your heart. Feel the changes in your body. And then when the energies are peaking, cover your chest and energetically embrace this being. And begin to feel as if you dissolve into it. Feel Logos dissolve, feel yourself dissolve, and feel you become a shared intelligence. And just bask in this. You can even hold this posture and rock a little bit. No thoughts, no words, no anything, just rock. You may receive words, you may receive things, and you may share things if you wish. That's fine. But what we mean is let it be a place of stillness. Let it be a sanctuary you enter. Does that serve you?
Yes, it does. Thank you. And then that place, in a sense, would be my new reality, and none of those other concerns of connecting with humans would exist because I'd have new connections.
As you become more and more aligned with your inner self, it is likely you become less and less and less dependent on human relationships for your sense of fulfillment. That does not mean abandon human relationships, for how could you? You're also interconnected. All it means is you will learn how to relate to people in a way that's free of codependence. You will not need them for happiness. You will be happy. And now you can freely share the happiness with no strings attached. That's what this allows for. But it will not free you of human relationships. That's not something you really want. Because that would mean having to hunt for your own food or forage your own food. That would mean having to generate your own electricity. That would mean having to be perhaps your own friend or your own partner. Now, while all those things can be done, and there's nothing wrong with doing them, many of you experience great pleasure when you have others in your lives. So nourish yourself in that way by allowing for yourself to have these relationships. They will amplify your happiness. They will assist you in creating the set and setting so happiness becomes more probable. The key is to generate that fulfillment from within and let those things around you be amplifiers. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely beautiful. My unconditional love and appreciation. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Amika, you can ask your question.
Hello, Ryle. Thank you so much for sharing the information.
Yes, you're very welcome.
I would like to ask, because for me, I'm 49 this years old now.
Excellent.
As you mentioned that there is 7-year cycle. 777, that there are 7 main chakra. So that means I'm now in stage of a ending of a huge cycle, which is very
Exactly.
interesting because my life purpose number is 5, which is change, freedom, and that's true. I find that I've been changing quite a lot, but for me now in this stage is that I feel kind of most of the archetypes I've been working through, but I'm now back to the stage. I have a kind of disorientation because I'm in a huge ending of some cycles.
Yikes.
So that's why I'm pondering, because I used to be a channel or alchemists or magicians kind of stuff. But now this gradually I find I'm now more tuned into to be the artist types or whatever. That make me quite confused because since transformation changes, alchemist is what I've been going through for decades. But now it seems I need a kind of, would you share some insight about this, please?
Okay. We'll talk about it like this. 5 is primarily a number of destruction. Primarily, it has to do with the idea of letting go of the old in exchange for the new. 5 connects primarily to the warrior archetype, as well as the alchemist. Both are linked to the 5, primarily. Right now, 49, in terms of your process, does in fact represent the completion of a cycle. It also represents the idea of a time of great change. So many things may begin to shift in your life. With great change, oftentimes that 5 quality of destruction will be present. You may see things fall away. You may see ideas you have held on to fall away. You may see that which is false or misaligned with your purpose fall away. And as you then move into 50, you will experience the master level of 5, the 5-0, the 5 multiplied by 10. This represents, in many ways, we might call, and we're being a little poetic here, but the supreme 5. The master level of the 5, the master level of your number. Which means you will have a powerful foundation. You will have a powerful platform to stand on. It is probable during this time more things in your life will come to fruition, more things of what you would call the quality of success and victory will be a part of your journey. You may find things come to you in a way that is easier. You may find you are suddenly placed in a position where you remember more of yourself, where you remember more of your path, where you remember more of why you are here, because that represents in many ways the beginning of the new cycle, going from the crown chakra back to the root, back to the child, back to the original self. That's what you're moving through right now, in particular. Now, remember, the alchemist and the warrior are very much linked to the explorer. So you may find that this is also a time where you begin to journey in different ways. This might be inner journeys, it might be outer journeys, but the idea is nourish these things, nourish your explorative attitude. Also, again, pay attention to the things you were drawn to when you were young. Nourish those things. Do that now, because you will be in a position during age 50, and it will happen a little sooner than that. The numbers are just a reference point. It's not as if it specifically starts at that time. It's just a reference point so you're aware of timing. But the idea is you will eventually be reaching a point where the things you enjoyed when you were young, the types of characters and activities you enjoyed emulating or engaging with when you were young will become more attractive to you. Nourish those things. It is like you will be given another life within this lifetime. Does that make sense?
Yes, exactly. It's so interesting. But as Rashad always said, about 5 is related to the earth Earth numbers.
Four is in many ways the number of Earth. 5, in a certain sense, represents both creation and destruction. 5, in terms of numbers, is more connected to Mars in that way. It's more of a martial number. So remember, there's different interpretations. So 4 is more of the Earth. You have the idea of the 4 seasons. You have the major 4 directions, north, south, east, west. 4 in that way represents more of the Earth level.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I've now remembered 5 is the number of humanity. That's make me kind of puzzling. It's interesting.
Yes, because you are cyclical beings, just as the universe is cyclical. You give rise to creation. You give rise to destruction. You give rise to order. That's in many ways what the 5 has to do with. The 5, in terms of what you call tarot, is strongly connected to the emperor, which, as we have said, is all about organization, but also letting go of things that no longer serve, letting go of things that are, let's just say, not serving you in the highest way. So that's one of the many natures of 5. 5 does pertain to what you would call the 5 elements. It does pertain to the idea of what you would call the human body. The 5 being a pentagram. The head is the top of the pentagram. The 2 legs are the 2 bottom points of the pentagram. The arms of the pentagram, the human arms. You also contain within you the 5 elements. The 4 elements of earth and the 5th element of spirit. So yes, there is a strong connection here to the idea of humanity. But as you know, you are not human forever. The human eventually goes through a destruction, which gives rise to the generation of your spirit life. That is, again, how 5 is connected to this sense of ordering and destruction. Does that make sense?
Yes, it helps a lot. So it means that actually I don't need to cling on anything now at this moment, just more deeply go with the flow.
Go with the flow, absolutely, and nourish the things that you wish to see more of. Because what will fall away will be what no longer serves you. What you will be left with represents your new directions. So begin to nourish some of those directions as you're already doing. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank
You're
you.
very welcome.
Okay, Mark, you can ask your question.
Hi, Rio. I just want to express my appreciation for you, Tyler, Justin, and everyone here today, and thank you for everything you've shared.
Yes, you're very welcome, and we appreciate your presence with us.
Thank you. I've like created an abundant lifestyle. I work for an organization that does good in the world, and I just still have like this anxiety. I don't feel I know my purpose. When you were saying about the archetypes before, I related to each one in different ways. You know, I didn't feel one was drawing me more than another.
Oh,
So I was just wondering if there's anything that my guides or you can, by reading my energy, can help me,
How old are you physically? If you don't mind
I
answering.
just turned 44.
44, all right. So in general, right now, you are primarily working with the themes of what you would call, one moment, the communicator, and also the healer. These are 2 major themes you're working with archetypally right now. Now, this will change as you change, but the idea is that this is a time of learning about the nature of yourself, the nature of the universe, the world around you, and the nature of your path. This is a time of learning, seeing clearly, seeing past the doubts, seeing past the second guessing, into a more objective realm of perception where you can see things as they are, where you can see your signature frequency with less of a bias. And as you then begin to observe those things, you will have the energy of air and fire behind you, amplifying you so you can move forward. So we are talking about it in terms of a linear sequential way. The key is to let go of the psychological energies that you feel are creating doubt or second guessing or misunderstanding. Sacrifice those things in exchange for a clear perception where you can begin to see yourself. So develop some type of practice that enables you to really reflect upon yourself, that enables you to really see yourself after having gotten into that meditative state where you have liberated your consciousness from those thoughts of pessimism or self-doubt. And from here, once you begin to see yourself more clearly, your path will be more obvious. Your path will become clearer, and then the energies of air and fire will propel you. In terms of what you are moving into, you are beginning to move into a time that has to do with nurturing. It has to do with healing. It has to do with taking care of yourself and the things within your life that are of great importance to you. It will likely be a time of change. It is likely things in your life will move around a little bit. And some of these changes may perhaps concern you a little bit, but you do not need to be in fear. Let things move. Know that change is the natural process, an organizational principle, and that what changes will be in service to you, and you can nurture those things that are important to you, that are a part of your destiny. And from here, you will move into a period of solidification. A new foundation, a new path will be crystallized. You'll be in a new dimension of life, a new dimension of experience. So this is a process we're talking about that spans about 3 years.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I have a lot of changes coming up, and it's exciting. I don't feel fear about it at all. Whatever happens will serve me. Does our purpose change, or is it really just a clear, like, centralized purpose that each one of us has, and there's
Well, it's
some
both.
purpose?
We just talked about
Yeah.
your purpose changing in approximately 3 different ways. Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
your
true.
purpose changes,
Right.
yes. Now there will be a centralized type of theme
Yeah.
that, in a sense, is designed to represent your life. But that centralized theme will contain all of the archetypes and many different purposes. The centralized theme is something that is so infinitely large that putting it into words may be challenging. You can really only describe it. But to say your central theme is just this will miss the mark.
Okay.
So your purpose is the same way. You can describe your purpose, but to say what it objectively actually is as a unidimensional thing will be a limitation. So it's meant to be something fluid. It's meant to be something that changes, but you will find no matter how it changes, it will still be unified by a particular central theme.
And that theme effectively is discovered over the whole life, and that's why we came.
Exactly. Yes,
Experience it.
exactly. It will be realized more and more as you continue to evolve. If you recall what we mentioned about the tarot cards, eventually you reach the tarot cards of the Hierophant and the Lovers. This is where you become your soul and spirit, where you become your higher self while in the body. That's when that central theme stands out like a spotlight. You see it clearly. And again, you might call it something, you might describe it in a certain way, but those are just words used to talk about it. What it actually is infinitely large. Language is just your way of simplifying it so you can fathom it a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you very much. I've been drawn to the tarot lately, so I think I'll get some for myself and investigate and see where it takes me.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rio.
You're
Thanks for your
very
time.
welcome.
Okay, Kenneth, you can ask your question.
Hey, Rayo.
Greetings. How are you this day?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
We are ecstatic. How may we assist you in your exploration of life?
I just have a couple questions. So last time we spoke, you said that Tyler would start channeling more of the pure non-physical. Is Rayo just representative of that?
Exactly.
aspect?
Precisely. Yes. Yes. It is a representation of, you could say, energy that is incredibly expansive, that is incredibly infinite. And its main principle is the upliftment of all whom interact with it. That is the nature of this new phase. That is the nature of the term that is being used to address this form of consciousness that we are describing as Ryo.
Okay. So I had a session where I went into a hypnosis session where I went into essentially oversoul, higher mind type area. And it
Excellent.
said that I needed to acquire a few more skill sets before I could actually move forward on my path. Could you clue me in a little bit more into what skill sets I might need to acquire?
Well, are there certain skill sets that perhaps you're drawn to? Or perhaps certain skill sets you have been drawn to, but have also procrastinated upon? Are there certain skill sets you have been drawn to that you have resisted? Or are there certain ones that you just have not taken action yet on that are attractive?
Well, they're not necessarily relevant because I haven't had necessarily the ability to move forward on them yet.
That's all right. But what are they?
More directly connecting to my higher mind as an active thing instead of occasionally just having it come through.
So the idea then is you're being asked to develop spiritual practices.
Yeah.
You're being asked to develop some type of spiritual discipline then. So you can be with the higher self more easily. Because remember, when you spend time in the world, in the physical reality, you become more like the world. You become more like the physical reality. You become more like the lower self over time. That's how your species became so dense. It's not that there was an evil manipulator. It's that your species became so infatuated with the physical world, it became like it and forgot.
That makes complete sense.
Yes. So the point of the spiritual practice is to take a little break from the physical world to go within and become more like the spirit realm. Absorb as much of that energy as you can, and then disseminate that into your physical world.
Also 3D animations using like Blender and Unreal Engine and those things to actually create physicalized versions of like meditations that I've heard in the past.
Exactly. So these are some things to work with, and your higher self will communicate with you through the art that is this digital expression. 100%. These are the two major things to focus on, because as you train yourself in different spiritual disciplines and learn how to ascend up that tree of life, up that ladder of consciousness, you will have all types of experiences that you may not be able to easily put into words, but you may be able to put it into pictures.
Okay.
And that will disseminate that current of energy that you tap into. So we would advise absolutely learn whatever spiritual disciplines and practices allow for you to really connect to that spirit realm. There are many traditions, many options out there. And remember, all traditions, and we'll go as far as to say all religions, are designed to remind you you are God. It is the negative interpretation of these things and the negative representation of these things that has deceived your species into thinking God is something outside of you that judges you. The reason we're saying this is there is so much for you to choose from. So much. There are so many practices, so many techniques. Be open to the ones that seem to call you, and be open to the ones that seem to repulse you. Because sometimes that which is for you has been severely judged by the ego, so it sees it as some type of villainous thing. So always be aware of that. Wherever there is judgment, there is an experience that must be had in a certain way, because that experience of that which is judged is designed to transform the judgment. So you don't even care about the thing. It's just a thing. When things are just things and they're not things you're emotionally invested in, now you can walk your middle path without being pushed or pulled. Does that make sense?
Yeah. After having the session the other day, things seemed more cohesive, we'll say.
Excellent, excellent. And what we're going to do today, we will assist you in this process of connecting, this process of diving into spirituality. It will parallel what we described earlier. That will be a large dimension of the meditation.
Okay. Fantastic.
Excellent. Anything else?
No, that's it for today.
All right. We thank you for your questions.
Aram, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hi.
Greetings. How are you?
Good, thanks so much. Okay, wow, I've really loved everyone's questions and responses. My question is about, there are choices that I've made where I thought I'm following my excitement and, oh, this is great. And then they have physical consequences that I don't prefer. And I wish to, well, okay, so some of the information that I get about the contents of the COVID jab, what they're calling the vaccination, I feel like, wow, I've made a choice to not put that in my body. And then when I'm in the dating world and looking for a relationship, I thought, well, I'm just going to choose people that haven't chosen to put that in their body either. And then I just am recently interested in this person who, for his own reasons, has had it twice. So I keep getting like not trusting myself, and I haven't trusted looking on my choices in the past in relationships. Sometimes I think, oh man, I don't even know what I don't, I'm just a little bit unconscious, and learning like School of Relationships.
All right.
And yeah, so then I think, well, I'm creating my reality and my vibration, and I don't want to make choices from fear. I want to, so the exchanging bodily fluids, vaxxed versus unvaxxed, like, what's your awareness about that?
Well, as you know, sexual fluids can accumulate toxicity. Sexual fluids are stored in lower regions of the body. So toxins generally will be pushed down and outwardly. So toxins can accumulate in sexual fluids. Yes, this does happen. So it's just important people go through detoxification protocols. Truly. If you're concerned about toxins being introduced into your system through sexual intercourse or intimacy, the partner really just needs to detoxify themselves thoroughly and you'll be fine. Because it's really a matter of toxicity in terms of what you are fearing. Regardless of vaccines, regardless of vaccine technology, regardless of all of that, the main fear is accumulating the toxicity that another may bring. This has to do with all types of other issues that we don't really have the time to get into today. But in general, that's the root. Accumulating an impurity and then experiencing a negative effect through having accumulated the toxic impurity. So the key is to make sure your partner, whoever you're intimate with, is doing a thorough detoxification process. So compounds that are in them that perhaps may be physical or energetic will then be purified out. So there will not then be a transference of which you would call different forms of pollution. So that's what we would advise. Does that serve you?
Yes. Can you suggest just one method of detox for this purpose?
Sure. There's all types. We'll talk about 3 because they're general. The first one is rebounding, what you call trampolining. That's an easy one. The second one is called activated charcoal. It's a type of substance you can consume that is very detoxifying. And these 2 therapies can be blended with what you would call a infrared sauna. So all of these things will purge your body of toxins. Just be aware with the sauna and the activated charcoal. These things can have contraindications. If you have heart conditions, if you're perpetually dehydrated, saunas are not a good idea for you. Correct those things. Then maybe a sauna will be fine. With the activated charcoal, it must be taken separate from pharmaceutical drugs or herbal supplements because it will neutralize them. So be aware of those things. Talk to your doctors, be responsible. Remember, we're channeled entities, not medical doctors. So use discretion with what we say in that respect. But those are things to pay attention to. Those will detoxify the system. Of course, the person must be willing to do this. You can't make them do it. But if they are, then perhaps they will be the lucky one for you.
Thank you.
You're very
Can-
welcome.
What is trampolining? You mentioned that first.
Rebounding. It's simply the idea of a personal trampoline that you can bounce up and down on. This pumps your lymphatic fluid. That's
Great.
how it detoxifies. That's the method.
Thank you. Great.
You're very welcome.
So Ryle, we're actually at the 9 my time, 9 p.m. It's 3 p.m. your time. There is one more question in the chat.
We will take the next question and then we will move into the meditation. If that's
Okay.
all right with you and your timing.
Definitely.
All right.
All the time, almost all the time in the world.
Perfect.
Let's see. The question is, what exactly is free will? You, Ryo, said yourself today that we are informed by our parents, media, etc. in our formative years and beyond. I would add, right now, we can observe in real time just how easy it is to manipulate the majority of people with propaganda, fear, and warmongering. What
Yes.
happened to free will there? Thank you.
Yes. So free will is still present. We'll talk about it like this from a multidimensional perspective. All experiences are energetically selected. Now, this does not mean that a dimension of you was saying, like your human mind would say, oh, I'm going to choose to be in an abusive relationship, or oh, I'm going to choose to get this disease, or oh, I'm going to choose to win the lottery. It's not like that. The idea is your consciousness has within it different frequencies of energy. In the past, this has been called karma. And it represents accumulated energies that are a part of how your character develops over time. That's all karma is. It's just a memory. Karma is just a memory with an energetic frequency that it gives off. When those energetic memories that you hold on to are, let's just say, charged with positive or negativity, they will pull certain experiences towards them. Memories, you could say, facets of information within you that give off a positive charge will attract positive experiences to you. Negatively judged memories, consciously or subconsciously, that are stored within you will pull in negative experiences. And in that sense, things are chosen. That's one way. You could say in a certain sense that that is perhaps a version of free will, in that these things are being selected by you through attractive forces on a level that is not connected with your human rational mind. So it's still chosen, but not in the way you're used to choosing things with your discerning mind, your rational mind. Now, individuals can surrender their free will unconsciously, but even that is energetically selected. However, when an individual surrenders their free will, oftentimes they do this in tandem with abandoning their purpose, abandoning their passion. Now, instead of their higher self guiding them, they are allowing the forces of the world to guide them. And in that sense, free will has been surrendered. But again, that whole experience is happening because it has been energetically selected through resonance. And that way it has been chosen, but it's not the same kind of choice you're used to making with your rational, discerning human mind. It's a different type of choice. And we don't use the word choice very often to talk about these things because it is sort of a misleading term. Many of you think of choice as a discerning, rational process you're in control of. For many of you, this type of choosing, this energetic, attractive, and repulsive phenomenon is unconscious. So it can seem as if there's no free will there. But that process is still organized by the soul. It's still organized as a part of the architecture. It's designed to assist you in transforming limitation and letting go of what no longer serves you, surrendering being controlled or being influenced or being manipulated for being totally sovereign, for being totally empowered by your conscious free will, your ability to, in a discerning way, look at something and say, that's not for me. And in a discerning way to be able to look at something and say, that is for me. So conscious free will is something you wake up to. Conscious free will is something you begin to embody as you embody your very soul, your very spirit, your very higher self, which emanate the ultimate free will, you could say. The source level truly represents ultimate free will because there's no limitation. Higher self, soul, spirit, there are still certain degrees of limitation because they experience themselves as other. So there will be, you could say, a slight limitation on free will there, but it is still incredibly unlimited compared to what you would describe as the types of free will experiences that you have on earth while you are unconscious. Once you become conscious, once you embody your higher self, your soul and your spirit, you then embody the free will of the higher self, of the soul, of the spirit. And now you can't really be influenced anymore. Instead of being a thermometer, just reacting to the climate of the world around you, you become a thermostat. You adjust your own climate. That's what this process is. That's the process of self-illumination. That's what it is to be a master, to be unmoved by things outside of you and to only move when you choose. That's what a master is able to do. That's what this process of awakening is. It is, in a sense, choosing to embody the free will of the soul, of the spirit, of the higher self, and ultimately to embody the free will, the power of source. There's a reason why many of you equate free will to power. When many of you feel powerless, you're not really embodying free will. You're being influenced, so to say, by circumstances. When you embody total free will, you feel totally powerful because now you're determining your life. In order to awaken that quality of free will, the things that compel you to abandon your path and your purpose in exchange for other things must be surrendered, must be released. So you awaken to free will. You grow into free will. On the soul spirit level, you have it. You're co-creating everything. On the human level, it's realized through your awakening.
Thank you very much. There's actually somebody who would like to ask a question. Is that still okay?
One moment. That's fine.
Okay. Then Aaron, please pose your question. Just unmute yourself.
Yes. Hello. Hi.
Greetings. How are you?
Good. I wanted to ask one question because a couple of months I had a experience. I can say that it was awakening and I stopped eating. I stopped sleeping and I was feeling as in the dreamland. And it was very connected outside and inside everything. I download a lot of information. But the thing is that now I have a lot of anxiety and kind of panic attacks if it's bother about this material world. And I don't know if I should, and because I also get to know that always I can choose. And the question is, if I need to integrate this kind of bad karma, what I put in the world before this happened, or I can just choose be in this realm.
One moment. What you are asking requires a great deal of attention. We wish to provide that to you. We do not have the time. What we will say is this. Yes, integration is essential. Grounding is essential. When you ground, when you connect to your body, when you connect to the earth, when you root in, now integration can happen. But if you stay in that dream world, that fantasy realm, as you call it, integration cannot happen. The longer you spend time up there, the more the process is extended and delayed. So focus on nature, focus on your body, focus on a healthy diet, pay attention to the things we mentioned earlier. Your diet is a powerful way to ground you. Focus on eating properly in a way that will nourish you, that is symbiotic with your evolution. That's one thing to focus on. The other thing to focus on, stress management techniques. This might be breathing exercises like Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing, something like this to calm you down. Also, talk to someone, speak to someone. Be it a friend, be it a family member, be it a therapist. Talk to someone so you don't feel like you're having to go through all of this alone. It's important you get that baseline established so you can settle into the physical reality without the panic attacks. It is this type of anxiety that is, in a sense, creating disturbances in your grounding process. So do things that will alleviate the anxiety so you can ground in, and then do grounding things that will anchor you to your planet. And that will catalyze your integration. So do not do this alone. Work with people, because so far doing it alone has only got you so far. Teamwork will serve you in a superior way. Does that make sense?
But can I ground can I ground myself from this spiritual realm alone? I cannot explain this.
Did you hear what we said?
Yes, yes. It
Follow
was
what
very
we said then. Follow what
Yes,
we
okay.
said if you wish to experience this, because you've tried this alone and you have not had a great deal of success. So try this. You don't have to do what we're saying, but again, we do not have the time to thoroughly address this with you. We have to move on. If we had time, we would spend more time, but we must move forward. We thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Apply what we said. If it resonates, if it doesn't resonate, please make your own choices. If it resonates, perform what we have shared, and it will serve you. All right? All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. We will now move into the meditational component of this exercise, of this transmission. To begin the exercise, sit in a comfortable position, ideally with the spine erect and with the feet planted firmly on the ground. Allow for yourself to bring the tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth. And from here, form on your face a loving smile. Think of something that is quite beautiful. Something that reminds you of pleasantness, of joy. Think of this thing, smiling to it, forming a physical smile on the face. Feel your dimples extend. And become aware of your mid-eyebrow, smiling up to your mid-eyebrow. Physically, with your eyes, keep your head stationary, roll your eyes up, look up at your mid-eyebrow. Inhale into your mid-eyebrow and see a golden light form, an orb of light. And see in this orb of light a golden you sitting in a lotus posture, a yogic meditative posture. See this you totally blissed out, smiling to the blissed out you at your mid-eyebrow point, and seeing this blissed out you smiling back at you. Take one of your hands and touch your heart center. Tap it a little bit. Awaken the center. Inhale and pull down a string of light from your mid-eyebrow down to your heart center. And inhale into the heart center, see another golden orb form. And see another you in this golden orb, smiling, full of bliss, full of love. And see this self in the heart center smiling back at you. Bring your attention down to the bottom of your body, feeling your tailbone, your sacrum, the bottom of your spine, and position your awareness just in front of this area, level with the center channel of your body. Inhale into the heart center and pull a string of golden light down, connecting to this area, level with the bottom of your body, in front of your sacrum and tailbone, level with the center channel. Exhale. And see another golden you at the bottom of you. Feel all of these selves, these three minds unifying. Inhale, see the golden orb in the bottom of your body get brighter. It begins to spiral gently. You can even use your hand to assist you in the spiraling. You can rock the body to assist you in the spiraling. But seeing this golden orb within you get brighter. Inhale into it once more. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Become aware of the center channel of your body, linking your perineum all the way up to your crown. Inhale and pull a string of light up from your low abdomen to your crown chakra, going straight up through you. Plugging into your crown chakra. Become aware of the soul star chakra above your head. Inhale and pull this string of light from your crown chakra up to the soul star center. And feel it anchoring in. And see the soul star chakra above you glowing with happiness and health. Rolling the eyes up, become aware of the universe above you. And see a pool of white light above your head at the top of the universe. Become aware of this golden orb of light that is the soul star chakra. And on your inhale, pull the string up and plug it right into the source. Inhale, extend, plugging right into the source mind. Exhale and see the source light get brighter. On your next inhale, pull the white light of source down and plug it into your crown and plug it into first, rather, the soul star chakra. Pull the light down to the soul star. See the soul star chakra being infused with the white light. And now use your hands. We're going to do the triangular exercise we mentioned earlier. See you in this soul star chakra, totally divine, totally blissed out. Inhale and pull the soul star chakra down to your crown and down to the center of your brain. Exhale, bring the soul star chakra forward, out through the third eye, and then back to its original position. Pull it down to the throat. Coming forward, out of the throat, and back up to the original position. Down to the heart center. Forward. back up to the original posture. Coming down to the solar plexus. Forward. And then back up to the original position. Coming down to the navel. Forward. Coming back up to the original position. Down to the root chakra, the perineum. Forward. Back up. We're going to bring it down again. This time the ball splits in two as we bring it to the knees. Bring it down. Through the knees. Back up. The ball combines. And now down to the feet. Ball splits in two. Back up. And then down to the energy center below the feet, down in the earth. Forward and back up. And now bring this energy center down into your intestinal area, that lower center. Cover the lower center. And return the energy ball back up to the position above the head using the center channel. Feeling the energy center both above you and anchored within you. Inhale and see your whole body glow with light. Repeat after us. Higher self. It is our will that we fully awaken to our purpose, that we fully awaken to our path of destiny. May our path, may our purpose be made clear and known to us. May we have all the resources, all the support, and all the power needed to walk on this path of destiny, on this path of purpose. May we be empowered as we move on this path. May we, in a compassionate way, let go of all obstacles and attachment to obstacles on this path. And may we be free to fulfill our destiny. May this occur in a way that is pleasing and blissful to us. May this occur in a way that is life and health affirming for all. And may this begin now. And so it is. When you do this exercise on your own, allow for this portion of the exercise to be where you sit in silence, where you sit in stillness and just receive. Without forcing anything, just allow information to come. For time's sake, we will allow for the exercise to now come to a close. Repeat this as many times as you need. Clap your hands. Massage the head, pat the head a little bit. And when you're ready, open your eyes. We thank you all for this exciting co-creative interaction we've had together this day. Our unconditional love and appreciation to you all. Enjoy your path, enjoy your passion, enjoy your purpose, and thank you for being you.